Hello, everyone, and welcome to another podcast from the Scholars of Kiora. I am Toa Sparda, and today I am joined by... You gentlemen would please introduce yourselves.
Hello, I am Pilot.
My name's Toa Levoris.
And today we are going to be talking about the DuckBricks Fanon Contest of Toa Tuyet that has concluded, and talk about a few of the mocks we found interesting, the winner, and a couple other interesting standouts. The next contest is going to be a creature, just a generalized creature mock, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, like the dinosaurs on Boda Magna. That's what they're doing next, I believe.
Okay. I think before we even talk about any of the mocks, let's at least kind of give our thoughts about this, with the canonization of the TTV contest, give our thoughts about, some more of these, Fanon contests. And I'll go ahead and start. And again, I am still a fan of this. It's just a good way for community engagement, trying to keep those creative juices flowing. And I know DuckBricks has stated, none of this will be official since obviously not endorsed by Lego or Greg anymore, but, it's still just the idea that getting people's feedback and having a community consensus of how characters should look.
Yeah, so, we kind of talked about this back in our fourth podcast, after, Greg left and everything, it was kind of this, idea that sprouted up to have, Fanon contests, which essentially work the same as canon contests, but they don't actually affect the canon of Bionicle, which, I don't know, I think that's kind of nice because it eliminates a lot of the, toxicity and general, I don't know, weight of the, of, the original contests and stuff. I noticed this time around, people kind of just had a lot more fun in general, I think. There was less animosity towards entries that people didn't like, and people in general were a lot more respectful. So I think, in general, this idea was kind of a success.
Judging by the turnout, which I feel like I should have highlighted this earlier, the doc, which will be in the description, in this contest alone, there was 183 entries. I don't recall any of the TTV contests so far having that many entries in a singular contest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many there were in, the Haga Artaka contest or anything like that, but, the turnout this time around definitely was, very good, especially, considering, for one, it's, a completely, new thing, and also I think there isn't, as much of a motivator to participate necessarily, since, the prize isn't, as big necessarily, because, that, the whole, canon thing isn't really present anymore.
It's a lot more relaxed.
Yeah. There is a pretty cool prize, though, in the form of that, melded Krakan thing.
Yes, that did look me. I think it was more the movie version as well, wasn't it? From 03?
Yeah, it was kind of a mix mash, kind of. It had, the, how, the Krakan is, the face, on top or whatever. That was the 04 version, and then... the front face of it was the regular 03 Kakan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what about you, Levo?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty interesting stuff. Definitely impressed by the turnout, because, as you guys have already mentioned, the TTV contest didn't really get as many entries, to my understanding. But there's a lot of people who kind of just I want to kind of say they jumped the gun, but in a sense it's not in a bad way. They've kind of just embraced that this is what's going to be now as the future, and they've all gone for it.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason too for the large turnout this time around was I forget the exact logistics of this, but I believe you could just enter an entry into this from anywhere pretty much. So there was a lot more avenues to actually participate. Whereas with the TTV contest, you had to go on their website and use their forums and whatever to enter. Which there were a lot of people in the community who already had accounts on the TTV message boards and all that, but still there were like a lot of new people coming in, I noticed, who like not only like didn't know about the website to begin with, but like navigating it and whatever was kind of a barrier to entry. Since it's just new to them. So yeah, I think like this time around, like ease of access was a lot greater, which I think helped the turnout.
Okay. You guys are ready. I feel like we can move on to talking about the entries for it, and I feel like we should start off with the winner, iBukkey, and his rendition of Toa Tuyet. And, I'll give my first impressions on it. I mean, for one, I'm very happy that a Metro build won, given, member of the Toa Mangai, and from what we understand, they are Metro builds just like, the Toa Metro. There's definitely some custom elements. I actually do like the slicer heads as feet, but overall, it's, the sword looks nice. It's a nice custom weapon, and I like the gunmetal for the metallic elements on the armor. Yeah. It feels like I'm not saying much, but at the same time, the simplicity, I feel like, is also one of its strong points as well.
Yeah, like, they went custom with some of it, but, like, they also kind of reined it in enough to kind of fit in with the, like, the other sets, like, namely Lacan.
Yeah, like, custom thigh and, I want to say, like, upper arms, yeah. But, I definitely feel like they've tried to keep them a similar length to the original sets. I mean, I think maybe the thighs are a bit longer, but there's definitely been an attempt to try and keep it into the same scale, so to speak.
Yeah.
Which is, in my opinion, a good factor, because I've seen a lot of Metro builds that are just like, we'll just use the Nika upper limbs and all that, and it just becomes like a really long, lanky dude. They don't work so well.
Yeah.
Also, I personally really like the tire used under the center of the chest to kind of like help fill the gap a bit between the Heartlight and the gunmetal Borok shield.
Yeah, that is kind of an interesting Heartlight too, because like usually, like I know for me personally, I usually use like studs for Heartlights, but having the lightsaber bar kind of go through there is kind of a neat idea. Yeah, like I know there's been a lot of debate in the past about whether or not Tuyet should be a Metro build. And, because, like, part of the lore for, like, the Toa Mangai is that they kind of come from, like, all over the Matorn universe. So there is kind of an argument to be made that they wouldn't necessarily all have the same build. And, like, I was kind of, like, I didn't really, like, lean towards, like, any one of the two sides. So, I was going to be, like, happy either way, but I don't know. I do like that this is a Metro design, though, because, like, from a set standpoint, this does fit in really nicely with Lacan.
Yeah, I liked it. We can talk about some other notable entries. I don't know if we had any personal favorites. I mean, my favorite entry does feel a little off-kilter. Like, it definitely doesn't. It didn't seem to fit like a general consensus of how Toa Tuyet was typically described in canon, but if you look on the dock, it's entry number 130, Toa Tuyet Soul Sovereign by Magikarp 411. I like this one, first off, because of the custom weapon here. It's chonky. And it also kind of gives off a truly Dark Knight / Devil Knight vibe. Like, there's big horns on it, and it is just... I find it to be a fantastic mock, although, again, not so much on the idea of, like, I don't think Tuyet was ever described in this fashion. But I'm a sucker for good custom weapons, so when I saw that giant sword, and it's just like, that is amazing.
It kind of makes me think of, like, what happens if Tuyet binge-watched Berserk?
Yes. Well, then again, I mean, one of the Toa Mangai's big feats was, fighting the Cardass dragon. Or not Cardass,
Kenobi Dragon.
What's he? Thank you.
Yeah.
Kanoe Dragon. And it's just like, yep. Yeah, they needed a sword like that.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's something I've kind of noticed is like, like you were talking about there being kind of a like a consensus on like how Tuyet looks. And like you'll notice that like as like the rounds go on in these contests, like the variety between the entries kind of like slowly like decreases. Like you'll look at like the final like 8 entries or whatever, like in this contest, and like they're all pretty similar, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Which, think of that what you will, but you can kind of see like stuff like this that kind of like varies a lot from like what's like a popular appearance for Tuyet kind of never really stands much of a chance in the contest necessarily, because like while they are very creative, it like people don't really want it as like the canon appearance.
Mm-hmm. But they're still fantastic mods, like
definitely
in this case.
Yeah, like that's kind of like a common thing in these contests sometimes, is like you'll have the entries that like want to adhere perfectly to like canon and whatever. Then you'll have stuff like this that kind of tries to get more creative with it. And, I think that's definitely their strength, but it's also kind of their downfall in a way because, people kind of wind up, I guess neglecting them in a way because it isn't like, what BSO1 says.
Mm-hmm. You guys got any standout entries you want to talk about?
I mean, my absolute favorite one, like the one I was rooting for was Cynova's Tuyet. That's like number 1 on the entry list. This one I really love because, like, I don't know, like Cynova's mocks are like really good in general. Like they've been like making a lot of stuff for the canon contest. Like they have this really distinct style I've noticed where it's a lot of like metallics combined with like a single base color. Then they have like a cool kind of like glowy neon trans color to go along with it. Mm-hmm. And you can kind of see that on like this Tuyet too. Like
this one is also one I really liked as well. Like I can't help but feel like that, this entry feels like a case of what if Tuyet won?
Yeah, kinda. Like the thing I like about this Tuyet is like she's very obviously like evil, but at the same time you can kind of see how like she would fit in with other Toa. Like one criticism I do have of that one entry you were just talking about, Sparda, like 130, is that it makes Tuyet very obviously like evil, right? Like you're talking about how they look like kind of a Dark Lord or something. And, like I could see like the other like main guy like looking at her and being like, hey, what's up with that guy, And
the Tuyet, do you think you could tone it down a little bit?
Yeah.
You're scaring them with
Yeah. And yeah, like this one, like you can kind of make the argument that like they could have been a hero at some point, right? But at the same time, like that reddish orange color kind of gives off the vibe that like this Tuyet is not exactly a good person. So I just think it conveys the essence of the character really well. Same goes with like kind of the more spindly limbs too, kind of like plays into how deceitful Tuyet can be in the story.
No, I'm very, very impressed by the way he's done the torso. Or they.
Yeah, whoever they are.
I'm very, very impressed by the torsos. It has a very unique silhouette to it. And like, I'm still looking at this. I'm still trying to piece together how the internals could look.
Yeah, this is a studio mock,
I can kind
too, by the way. Yeah, it's like a render that that's been like edited.
But yeah, I can kind of tell. But point is I can kind of get the gist of how the forearms, the legs, the pelvis is made. I could see how the shoulders are made quite easily and all that. But the torso has still left me a bit stumped. But it's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's to give it a word, it's slick.
Yeah, I love the mask choice too. You can kind of see like a variety of different mask choices for the what's her mask called again? Mask of Intangibility.
I think that's the one, yeah.
Yeah, and like this is I think this is one of Galva's like newer designs for it, and I'm a big fan of it. To be honest, I probably prefer this one to the like the King K design that's used on the like the winning entry.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Cool.
Do you have any notable entries you want to talk about?
Oh, I've got so many, but let's narrow it down. Otherwise, we're going to be here for 2 days. Yeah, I'll definitely say my favorite entry was entry 32, Tuyet the Dictator by Duran.
Mm-hmm.
It's like another Netru build, but I really like the silhouette it creates. It's very much as that's kind of like a similar silhouette I'm wanting for Levoris, is like a pre-Titan mode. In a sense, is like, I don't know, it's probably like a carryover from all my Warhammer models. They're just having like the flared legs, like big ass boots, and then like really big broad shoulders. I don't know. I'm guessing it's influenced by that quite a lot. But I really do like this model. I also like the fact that he's edited it to have a bit of a background and stuff like Metru Nui and all that in the background, and the stone in a hand. The sword's also pretty interesting, seeing that it's basically got the blade in front and then it's built up using a whole bunch of those like 90-degree connector pieces for the axles, and then it's got like little spikes on the other side to create the back edge.
Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, this one kind of reminds me a lot of the Waning Entry by iBukkey.
They are very similar.
Yeah.
I will definitely give it that. I think this one, though, Tuyet the Dictator, is just a little more heavily armored and all that compared to iBukkey's.
Yeah.
You were mentioning it. Those boots seem definitely be very heavy and stuff like that. Like, again, just judging by the silhouette, like, well, frankly, it feels like a mock from the 70s. Break out the bell-bottom armored pants.
Yeah, here comes Toa Tuyet with her Maturin stompers on. Yeah, I mean, like, whilst we're out here on the dock, the other entry I really liked a lot was 31, which is like just above, being Toa Tuyet by Velociraptor.
Yeah, that's a weird one, but not necessarily in a bad way.
Again, kind of like what I was talking about with my entry. It's unique. Like, on its own, this is a great mock, but doesn't really feel like, what Toa Tuyet should feel like. Yes, quite frankly, it feels like a Toa Wendigo.
Yeah, like, stuff like this is great. Like what I was saying about your entry, Sparda, like, stuff like this is, like, really cool. As, like, a mock itself, like, as a contest entry, it just, like, like, it never really, like, works out, I've noticed,
Yeah, but I definitely like, with the combinations of all the different shapes and stuff, it's definitely created what I could describe as a biomechanical creature. And that's what I really like about it.
Yeah, the tubes are cool. They kind of, like, run up the back there.
Right. Yeah. Again, we're not saying this is a bad mock. No, we're trying to say the opposite. It's a great mock, but unfortunately, it's the theme where it's falling short, unfortunately.
Yeah. Another thing I want to highlight too is the like the Nui stone. Like, in addition to like the mask, like that was kind of another area where people could experiment a bit. And like you'll notice like some entries that have like, like 3D modeled Nui stones that are like custom parts, and then this one here just straight up has like a Mata head, which I think is cool. And yeah.
I think something that's also really cool is that Velociraptor's like actual submission is on like Imgur, and he's provided other like breakdown pictures so you can see how some parts were made.
Yeah,
and it's one that like something that's not very visible on the main picture, but it is there. Is if you look just underneath the mask, you can see what is the Heartstone.
Oh yeah, kind of on like the neck, right?
It's kind of on like the neck. If you on Imgur, if you scroll down a bit, you've actually got the like I want to say like side view of the torso. It's quite visible there. It's like,
Yeah.
And I think that's also something that makes it quite impressive, is that this isn't a studio. This is like an actual mock that's been photographed.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy also made that one like Artaka mock too that was kind of made in a similar style to this. And I remember people being kind of like this kind of illustrates like the difference in attitude between these contests, I think. So like I remember when Velociraptor posted his like Artaka entry, people were kind of like up in arms about it because they were like worried it was gonna like win or something, then it would just like ruin Artaka or whatever. And you know, like while in that contest, like, you know, there's kind of a negative response to more creative stuff like this. I think, you know, while it might not get as many votes, a mock like this can like really thrive in a contest like this where the stakes aren't as high and people can kind of just have fun with it. So yeah, that's kind of another reason why I'm glad these like Fanon contests are happening now.
Like, quite frankly, this does feel, you know, this still can feel at home on the idea of just like, meanwhile, in another universe.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing with all these, right? Like, they could just be like alternate versions of Tuyet.
Another entry I found out, this is kind of talking about the idea of just standing out, is entry number 71. The Toa Tuyet by Voki. First off, it is entirely system. Like, when I saw that, I was very intrigued. You know, using the new, I think they call them mixable joints and stuff like that. So, I mean, it poses just like, you know, another, you know, Bionicle build would, but with all system. I mean, first off, it looks great from a system standpoint. It really does. You know, color scheme is really good and stuff like that. So, I mean, I just found that to be a kind of a standout entry.
Yeah.
You know, I just, because I don't recall any in the TTV contests, you know, ones that were made entirely out of system.
Yeah. I mean, there probably were some mocks that were like, you know, like made heavy use of system. But yeah, like not to like this extent. I don't remember ever seeing anything like that. Like, this is kind of interesting too, because like, I don't know. I feel like if G3 was ever a thing, this could be like a route they went. Or it's just like brick-built figures.
Yeah,
well, they still use, you know, ball and sockets that, you know, would work for Bionicle pieces and stuff like that on.
Right.
You know, granted, they're more used like on Ninjago and stuff like that, like used on some of their, you know, large creature dragon builds and stuff like that. So it would be, I feel like if G3 was to happen, it would be, okay, you know, in terms of articulation, it would still be traditional ball and socket, but in regards to all the greebling and stuff, it would be a lot more system-based.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, you know, like the mixel joints are essentially like ball and socket, you know? Like they serve the same function, it's just they're kind of they're kind of smaller than the ones we're used to.
Just a little smaller, just a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I do like how they're keeping that around, and you know, and it's just like, oh, traditional sizes, and I actually watched some videos of the new Ninjago sets review, and it's like, no, those are hand connectors. No, that's the same size ball joint. And then, admittedly, I'm still somewhat keeping up with more recent Lego stuff because it's just like, oh, look at that one piece. Oh, it's got an axle connection. Okay, how does that look again? Can I use that as a sword one day?
Yeah. Not to get like too off topic, but Ninjago does have a lot of really nice like sword pieces and stuff that you can use on mocks, I've noticed.
Yes.
Those were the few entries I saw that kind of stood out to me. I don't know if you guys got any others.
You know, we could highlight some of the art entries too, because that was also a thing here.
I was gonna say like, yeah, but I'm gonna keep mine brief. So the artwork ones are cool.
Yeah, number 92 I know was a really popular one actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, though I'm pretty sure, if I recall right, like, you know, while they did have like the opportunity to like enter either a like an artwork entry or a mock entry, mocks wound up being like the more popular option. And I think the reason for that is like, you know how like we've had characters like Nikila or whoever who've just been canonized through like artwork. So like, Yeah, and like ever since that happened, like it's kind of been, like people have been having to like find a way to like recreate that in mock form. So I think people would rather just have like a mock to begin with instead of an art piece.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so like as cool as the art stuff is, I think it's kind of at a disadvantage here, sadly.
Yeah. Big sad, but yeah. But something I do like about all these artwork ones is that they've definitely gone down the stylized route, which, in my opinion, is the superior route when drawing Bionicles and stuff, because it's the reason why Legend Reborn wasn't my favorite film, is because, yeah, they just recreated the sets and moved them around.
Yeah.
Gave them a bit of, like, and then compare that to, like, the original trilogy of films. It's like, oh, these look so much better.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously that whole stylization is something you can only get with drawing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, one difference with the Nikila artwork to like some of these though is like they do actually make an effort to like recreate actual pieces like in the design of Tuyet here. So you can kind of like make out like certain pieces like I'm looking at like entry like 92 right now, and you can kind of see like a Mata foot and like the new Paru armor, maybe like a Hordika chest and stuff. Then you have like King K's Mask of Intangibility. And yeah.
And you can easily recreate the silhouette of the sword. Like it seems
Definitely.
Like specific pieces aren't really shown in the sword, but the idea of just a generalized silhouette you can achieve.
You even make a 3D model of it too. And click a new piece out of it.
Another artwork entry that, I found interesting was entry number 75. But because I can, right from the get-go, see a few pieces where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, there's, you see your Metro then, so you can actually see a 2015 skeletal arm piece.
Right.
And the, a couple other armor pieces here and there, and it's like, I can't quite put my finger on it, but the giant shoulder pads is just like, oh, I feel like that's a mask piece, but for some reason it's just like, okay, I can't really trace back to a base one. It's like, I want to say Wendua's mask, Toa mask, the Rua, but it's like, it feels heavily altered, but again, thinking about it's like, if this existed in Lego form, where's the connection point?
Yeah. Yeah, that one has like an interesting style to it too, because like it looks kind of like anime almost a bit. I don't know. Like it almost like reminds me of like a Gundam or something.
Yeah, I definitely see that. But one thing I do like, it seems like, the Nui stone is just like, yep, it's right there, front and center. Look at it shine.
Oh yeah, on like the chest, right?
Yep.
And the tubes coming off it are kind of cool too. It's like it's powering Tuyet or something.
I mean, like when it comes to other artworks and stuff, one I liked, I'm definitely not going to say it's like the best artwork here, but one I liked quite a bit was number 5. There's a almost like comic book style in a sense, because there's like the shadows are just pure black. There's no gradients on it.
Yeah, gotta be honest, like that almost looks more like a like an appearance for Helrix than for Tuyet. I don't know.
Well, I can see the Tuyet aspects of it, and one thing I do actually like about this entry is because I could probably just to create a generalized silhouette is using those I want to say tread pieces because that's what they were on Scorpio, but just making some of those pieces and stuff like that and just drape them down, just like how it is on the Scorpio for the tire treads, but then it's just like, nope, there you have your armored looking skirt.
Yeah. I think what does it for me is probably like the green eyes. Like on Tuyet, like you're so used to seeing like orange eyes. So I think like when I see like the green eyes combined with like the blue and silver, I just think like Helrix for some reason. So yeah, it is a really nice artwork though.
Tuyet before the stone.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Like maybe like her eyes and heart like kind of like turned red after she became kind of corrupted with the new stone.
She became evil.
Yes.
Well, I think we mentioned before we don't want to talk about all their entries, otherwise we'll be here all day. The document containing all the entries will be in the description.
Yeah, if I remember to do that, hopefully.
Just want to go ahead and give our final thoughts. Firstly, I thought, I thought this was a massive success given the amount of entries there were, and I at least haven't heard any noteworthy drama that we've talked about in previous contests. So I can't help but feel like this was an absolute success.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Like, the only drama I heard about coming up with this contest was, like, one entry that got disqualified because they were trying to, like, manipulate the vote or something. But other than that, I think this went over, like, very smoothly. And, I'm looking forward to seeing what they have in store for, like, the future contests. There's, like, the dinosaur contest coming up. And after that, I think they're going to do some of the other characters that TTV originally had planned. Like, Lariska or Nadiki and whatever. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Lots of stuff happening. I want it happen. I want it done. Just show me the marks. Goddamn weights.
Alrighty. Well, again, thank you. Thank you for watching, and thank you, gentlemen, for joining me in discussing these entries and all that. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for not only our next podcast, but we can have some other content coming soon. Until then, I'm Toa Sparda. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Adios.